So you've tried distraction, breathing, meditation, grounding, but the panic keeps coming back. Maybe it's not just anxiety either. Maybe it's depression, the heaviness that follows you every day, the emptiness, the tiredness, the sense that nothing matters. Maybe you've read all the tips, done the journaling, even worked with a therapist, and yet you keep spiraling. You shut down, you overthink. You feel like you're failing healing itself. So what to do? How to get out of this misery? Hi, I'm a complex trauma survivor who has lived through depression and anxiety. Even though I am not a professional, in my journey, I have learned things that I want to share with you. Maybe ease your pain, even if a little. And I'll begin with a quote from Dr. Bessel's book, The Body Keeps the Score. Trauma is not just an event that took place sometime in the past. It is also the imprint left by that experience on the mind, brain, and body. While most people are stuck managing the symptoms or trying to avoid them, one should begin by understanding that anxiety and depression are not always about the present moment. They are often your body remembering pain from the past. And when we say trauma, don't think it has to be something dramatic, like an accident or a major loss. The kind of trauma we are referring to here is complex trauma, which can come from multiple, seemingly small, but emotionally difficult experiences. Even if you don't consciously recall it, your nervous system does, and it keeps trying to protect you, even when you are no longer in danger. This video is about how to truly begin healing that. It won't be a list of quick fixes, but there are solutions that are possible with reflective work. And if you stay with me patiently, I'll share that with a story. I'll help you see the full picture, from why this is happening, to how you can slowly come out of it. Please note that this video is primarily from the perspective of anxiety, but the same principles apply to depression and in general complex trauma as well. Imagine this. You hear something as simple as, "You have an interview next week," or "We need to talk," or maybe it's, "I'm disappointed in you. Why can't you ever get it right? You never show up for anything. You should see a doctor. It might be something serious." Or a news headline mentioning layoffs, recession, or someone close saying, "Why don't you man up like everyone else?" It might not sound extreme to others, but your body reacts before you even have time to think. Your chest tightens, your mind races, and before you even realize it, you are doing something to protect yourself. Maybe you instantly start arguing, trying to prove your point. That's fight. Maybe you start pleasing them, agreeing with things you don't mean, just to avoid conflict. That's fawn. Maybe you ghost the person or avoid the situation altogether. That's flight. Or maybe you freeze. You go blank, numb, unable to move or think clearly. That's freeze. We have talked more about these 4 trauma responses in another video. You can check that out if you are curious. But for now, just begin with this. Start noticing what situations trigger you. Notice what your body feels. Notice what you do next. Try asking yourself, was this my calm, balanced self? Or was it my anxiety reacting? And if you are not sure which trauma response it was, that's okay. Just note down what you felt and what triggered it. Even typing a few words as notes in your phone can help. Or sit quietly at the end of the day and reflect. When did I feel unsafe today? What was my reaction? What did I feel? Over time, patterns will emerge. And when you spot those patterns, you begin to see what's not helping you anymore. Some reactions that once protected you might now be making things worse. So take your time. It is very important to be honest with yourself. The more real you are in this step, the more powerful the healing in the next ones. So now that you've begun noticing your triggers and reactions, let's go a little deeper. It's not enough to just see the symptoms. To truly begin healing, we have to ask, where is this coming from? What am I really afraid of and why? Not all trauma comes from some big, dramatic moment. Sometimes it's small things, said or done to you over and over, that leave the deepest wounds. That's what we call complex trauma. Let me tell you 2 stories. A young man today avoids hospitals at all costs. Even when he's clearly unwell, he tries to manage everything on his own. Before a doctor visit, his behavior changes. He becomes unusually quiet, irritable with those around him, and maybe even starts sweating. Why would a relatively healthy adult have such a strong reaction to something as routine as a checkup? It is because of what it stirs up inside him. Years ago, while playing around at a pool, a family member pushed him in for fun, but the fall caused a painful back injury. It wasn't life-threatening, but it was deeply uncomfortable. When he went to the doctor, he was hoping for help, but instead the response was cruel. Back pain? At your age? What are you? A weak girl? An old woman? That wasn't the end of it. He had to go for physiotherapy sessions for months, and during those visits, the humiliation continued. A relative who once accompanied him laughed and called him a burden. Someone even said his parents must be ashamed to have such a weak son. It was never just about the pain. It was part of a lifelong river of quiet humiliations and emotional neglect. Now his body has learned something dangerous. If I ask for help, I'll be shamed. Now let's move on to the next story. A well-educated woman gets intense panic before office presentations. She stutters, goes blank, and cancels at the last moment, despite complete preparation. Why? When she was a child, she once wrote a sweet little poem. She was excited about sharing it with her family, but when she shared instead of encouragement, she was ridiculed. What nonsense is this? You should never open your mouth again. Her father and uncle laughed. Another time, she put up her hand to speak in class. The teacher cut her off and mocked her too, and all the kids in the class laughed at her. Years kept passing. In those years, she tried speaking up, even casually, in front of friends, which was her safest, most trustworthy space. But even a slight fumble in coherence, and she was laughed at by them too. So her nervous system learned, if I express myself, I'll be humiliated. Both of these people live with anxiety today, but the real wounds, they began years ago. One learned that physical pain is shameful. The other learned that expressing herself is dangerous. Their nervous systems didn't randomly become sensitive. They were shaped by experiences, maybe hundreds of tiny moments soaked in fear, guilt, shame, or loneliness, blurring into each other. Now that you have noticed the pattern, it's time to dig deeper. When that anxiety rises, pause and ask yourself gently, what am I afraid of here? What does this fear say? Are there voices in my head? Whose voice is it? Mine or someone else's? And if the voice laughs at you or says things like, why can't you ever get it right? You're a burden. Pause again and ask, Would I say this to someone I care about if they were in my situation? Most likely not. So why say it to yourself? Once you understand where your reactions come from, it's time to respond differently. Think of that part of you, the scared one, the reactive one, as a frightened little child or a shivering puppy. Would you ever yell at them or shame them? Of course not. You would offer warmth, safety, and love. So now, can you begin to offer that same care to yourself? To your own fears, to your panic, and to your overwhelmed heart? You can start by gently listening to that scared little child inside you, not with impatience or judgment, but with love. Try to hear what it's trying to say. It may not speak clearly at first, but with time, it will begin to trust you again. That is what begins true healing, not control, not suppression, but love. The kind of love, care, and safety you never received at the time you needed it most. Now that you have listened to your inner child and felt what it has been holding, it's time to help it feel something new. We can't change the past, but we can offer our nervous system something it never got: comfort, support, and safety. This is how we start rewriting the story. Quite literally. Think of it like this: if no one else gave you what you needed, you can now learn to give it to yourself. Ask yourself, what did I need back then? What if someone kind had been there? What if I could go back and hug that version of me and say, you didn't deserve that. It wasn't your fault. You're not alone anymore. This is not make-believe. This is reparenting. This is healing. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. It responds to what is felt. So when you create a new emotional experience, even through imagination, you are actually rewiring the pathways that once formed around fear. So let's revisit the woman who was afraid of presentations and see how she could rewrite her trauma memory. The little girl reads the poem aloud. It's just a few lines. Nothing fancy, but straight from the heart. And then the laughter comes. Her father and her uncle burst into sharp, mocking chuckles. What nonsense is this? You should never open your mouth again. Just as the shame begins to flood her tiny body, there's a sudden rush of air. A superhero appears in the room. One she absolutely adores. Maybe he's from a comic, a cartoon, or her own imagination. But right now, he's real, and he's here for her. He doesn't yell. He doesn't attack. He simply turns to the adults and gives them a long, disappointed stare. Then, with calm strength in his voice, he says, I guess you two don't know the first thing about creative writing, or art, or courage. The room falls silent. Suddenly, their cruel words hold no power. And then, her elder self steps into the room. She has warm eyes, a strong presence, and a soft, gentle smile. She walks over, kneels beside the little girl, and pulls her into a hug. She gently strokes her hair and says with love, I'm proud of you. This poem, this moment, this bravery, it matters. She continues, please never stop writing. Never stop expressing what's in your heart. The little girl trembles in her arms. Behind them, the superhero stands quietly, a watchful, loving guardian. You don't have to be perfect, the superhero adds with reassurance in his voice. Trying is everything. And one day, you'll grow into someone who speaks with such power, such kindness, that others will stop and listen. The elder self then touches the girl's forehead gently and says, If trouble ever comes again, we'll be here. Me and him. We'll protect you now. You are no longer alone. The little girl looks up. Her eyes shimmer with emotion. She nods slowly, and for the first time she feels truly safe. They hold each other in a long, silent embrace. Tears begin to flow, not tears of pain, but of peace. And now, we are back to the elder self, who stands tall in a boardroom, giving a presentation. Her voice is steady. Her eyes are confident. Her heart is calm. Because, in the back of the room, invisible to others but vivid in her mind, the little girl stands with a smile. Beside her, the superhero remains close. Both of them are smiling, cheering, and deeply proud. Not because the presentation is perfect, but because she showed up. This is not just recovery. This is transformation. This is the new story. You can do this too. You don't need any fancy tools or perfect conditions. You can take a pen and paper and just begin to write. You can use your phone if that feels easier or safer. Or you can simply close your eyes and imagine it, allowing yourself to re-enter the memory with kindness. If you feel comfortable, you can even ask someone you trust to walk through the story with you. Slowly, gently, and sometimes using a supportive tool, like some AI, can help guide you deeper into the experience. That's something I personally find helpful when I feel stuck or overwhelmed. You don't have to believe in it completely right now. Just begin. Practice a little. Visualize what you needed to hear, or feel, or see. Even a small shift can begin to open the door to healing. Because your story isn't over yet. And this time, you're not being abandoned. You are showing up for yourself, with love, with courage, with care. Healing doesn't happen from just one memory rewrite or one journal entry. It's not a quick fix or a short race. This is a marathon. Slow, intentional, and deeply personal. You might do a reworking exercise one day and feel a sense of peace. But the next day, your panic might still come back. That's okay. This is how healing works. It takes repetition. Sometimes it helps more, sometimes less. But what matters is that you keep showing up at a pace that your nervous system can actually handle. Because this is not just about changing a story once. It's about gently rewiring your brain, over and over again, with new experiences of safety and support. And for that, you need more than imagination. You need to slowly start noticing your reactions in the present, and gently exposing yourself to what scares you in tiny, manageable doses. If something feels overwhelming, it's okay to avoid it for now. Avoidance is not failure. It's simply your body asking for safety first. And while avoidance or distraction may work in the short term, real healing deepens when you begin to test the waters again, softly checking, is this still dangerous? Or have things changed? Like for the woman whose story we discussed, maybe it's giving a small presentation to a friend. Maybe it's writing a poem and reading it out loud to yourself. These small acts help your nervous system realize that danger isn't as real anymore, that you're not stuck in the past, but you don't have to do it all at once. Your environment plays a powerful role here too. Ideally, we'd all have supportive people and peaceful surroundings, but not everyone is lucky enough to have that. So to the extent possible, start creating your own safe space. Even if it's just in your room, your journal, or your imagination. Cut off what's toxic or cruel. Whether it's a person, a social media feed, a job, or even just a harsh inner voice. You deserve peace. If that peace isn't given to you, it's still something you're allowed to give yourself. And if you try, you are sure to find the right people. They might not be perfect, but will bring you peace and warmth. As your body sees that things are different now, it will slowly begin to rewire. And that takes time. So celebrate every little step. Every time you try, every time you pause and choose compassion, that is the work. And if one day it doesn't go as planned, just try again tomorrow. Alongside this deeper work, there are daily tools that support the journey. Things like breathing techniques, grounding practices, or holding ice in your hands when panic strikes. These are not superficial. They help your system calm down enough so you can keep doing the deeper healing. If you've watched the earlier video on short-term tools, you already know how powerful they can be. Other longer-term habits can also build strength gently over time. Journaling about what triggered you and how you responded. Celebrating small wins, even if they feel silly. Spending time in sunlight or nature if it's accessible. Doing mindful movement, even stretching, yoga, or walking barefoot on the grass. Reading trauma-informed books or articles. Practicing guided meditation, only if it feels safe. Reducing screen time and increasing moments of genuine connection, even if just with yourself. This is not a linear journey. Some days you'll feel like you have healed completely. The next day you may feel broken again. That doesn't mean you have failed. It just means you are healing. So take your time. Be kind to yourself. You are not late. You are not weak. You are healing at your own pace. And that's more than enough. If you have made it this far, I want to say I'm proud of you. And I thank you for finding the patience to make time for healing. If you feel like it, please share your story or feelings in the comments. What worked for you? What didn't? Or anything you want to share. Maybe your words will help someone else feel heard. Let's make the comment section a peaceful community for healing. And I know I'm just a voice behind your screen, but please know, you're not alone. I'll be here.